Yeah, if survival mode had a volume setting, most of us would be stuck on loud and crunchy. But what if we could turn the dial down on stress and up on pleasure? Yes, I said it, pleasure. In today's episode, I'm joined by the pleasure coach Erica Wiederlight. And let me tell y'all right now, this is not your typical bubble bath combo. We're talking unlearning the hustle, giving guilt the boot, and learning how to find moments of joy even when your kid's melting down over the wrong chicken nuggets. It's raw, it's hilarious, it's healing. So grab your coffee or whatever, throw on your weighted blanket, and get ready to turn the dial all the way up. Let's go. Okay, y'all. So I am already smiling super big because this guest that we have right here, yeah, like she brings the kind of energy that really makes you want to sit up straight. Like it's a head turner. You want to breathe deeper. You want to maybe clutch your pearls a little bit. Because it's not something that we're used to talking about. It's not even something that in mom spaces, when you're thinking about your kids and all those things that you're just really used to just going diving deeper. But remember, this is not the place where we are talking about the mom stuff. We are talking about the mom, the woman behind the mom stuff. And so what she is going to bring today, I'm so excited to really get into conversation because she is helping us to remember that pleasure, that joy, the wholeness that still belongs to you, and even the in the thick of parenting and surviving and trying to make it all make sense. I'm happy to introduce that I have Erica here, who is a coach, and she is a coach, and I'm gonna let her talk about the things that she coaches for. But wait, just wait, y'all. And she's also a speaker, and so I'm really happy about that. And she helps people just reconnect with their sensuality and y'all, just really stepping out of shame and start feeling alive again. And who doesn't want that? Like when you've been thinking about everybody else, it is time to think about yourself. So I am ready for her to pour into me because I'm here to learn too. I'm here to take it all up because I'm in the boat with you guys and I'm ready to jump out of the boat some days. And so I really just want to get into it. So, Erica, listen here, I do have my coffee, but I think that the conversation that we're having may call for a glass of wine, and we are recording this early, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I almost brought a glass of wine, but I was like, yeah. So I want the people here listening to really know your story. And before we even get into that, I just want to kind of dive into a little bit of how we connected. And so I know that we connected via social media. We gravitated towards each other's content. And then we just got on a call and we hit it off. And what you support and what you do, I was like, hey, hey, I'm in my dating girl phase. And so,
Yes.
hey, I like, divorced, all the stuff. So I'm like, I need to, yeah. So tell me your story and tell the people a little about you while I sip my coffee and pretend it's wine.
I love that was the best intro of my life. Like I'm like, thank God. That was amazing. And you hit the nail on the head. For me, I do an assortment of things as a coach. I work with people on dating, sexual empowerment, pleasure, self-love. And what's so funny is, and we'll go deep into this, but at the core, I really deeply believe everyone needs this work. Whether you're partnered, single, have a desire to date, don't have a desire to date, care about sexual empowerment, don't. I was talking yesterday to someone and we went really deep into this work and she was like, whoa, like I didn't realize this is what you're talking about. I thought it was fluff. Like I mean, I have my feather right here, of course. I thought it was pink boas and feather and pleasure.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
yeah, I'm like, listen, you know what I mean? Like I always say, like, if you want to, lay on a chaise lounge and get fed grapes, God bless. I support that mission. Hey, but this is a deeply spiritual practice. What we're doing is so deep, it's so fundamental for everyone. And so that's why I really love speaking about it. Because I think if you see it, I say like on Instagram or this, it's kind of like, that's nice. That's probably fluff, pleasure, don't need it. Anyway, next.
Right.
And for me, it's like, hold on, hold on, hold on. This is a deep, deep conversation. I know we'll go in different directions today, but I like to say the work of pleasure is actually shadow work, meaning
Mm,
it's very deep for all humans, but especially for women, especially for moms, parents. Uh, it's confronting. because right, like pleasure, yeah,
Should have
it's
worn
like
my pearls.
ooh. And it's, we have all these stories culturally, societally, socially, pleasure is disgusting, it's something to be earned after blood, sweat, and tears. I need to lose 10 pounds and then I can have pleasure. I need to find the person, then whatever, right? It's like this, we have all of these stories around it. And why this work is so deep is it's about deep self-love. Like,
Yeah.
hold on. Like, I am deeply worthy, fundamentally worthy and deserving now to have pleasure, aka goodness in my life. It can mean, pleasure, I'm kicking my legs, pleasure,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
also like you know what I mean? Like
I told y'all.
yeah, I'm like, oh, we're getting right there. It can mean that. Or it can mean like I'm really enjoying my kombucha this morning. Or like as I'm driving my kids to school, like I'm trying to put the stress away and like really have like enjoying this conversation with them and cackling with them and having a great time.
Yes.
And we don't feel worthy and deserving enough. And why I say it's a spiritual practice too is, talk about some of these religious slash spiritual belief systems. A lot of it is about being in the present moment, at being here, right now. Pleasure is in the
Yeah.
here and now. Like it's not in the future, it's not in the past, it's in the here and now. And as women, it's really hard for us to be in the here and now, especially as a parent. You got to do this. Oh my gosh, I got to sign the permission slip. I got to do this. I'm
Right.
nervous. Are they going to be okay? Like it's very disorienting and scary to be
Yeah.
in the present moment.
Yeah.
So this work is as fun and fluffy as it sounds. Oh my gosh, it's deeply confrontational, but in the best way because it truly changes us to the core.
Yeah. No, I absolutely can hear that. Like, and when you talk about the spiritual aspect, that's worship. Like when you're
Totally.
able to be in the moment of
Yes.
bliss and
Yes.
happiness, and we don't we have to be intentional
Yep.
about that time, right? And it's crazy because it should be something that's so natural. Even when we talk about like laughing with your kids and spending that time and smiling, you have to be like as a mom, it's so crazy because we are so wrapped up, like you said, in supporting and taking care of others. And did I sign the permission slip? Did I do this thing? It's like we start scheduling like, okay, at 3 o'clock, I'm gonna do a joke with my kid, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna laugh about it, and then I'm
Exactly.
gonna do the dishes, and then I'm going to watch a show, and I'm going to have 5 laughs at that show.
Yes.
And then, and it's so sad when you think about it that way because you're like, I am literally scheduling happiness.
Totally.
And that doesn't feel authentic. And
Yeah.
it and I did a talk the other day about, what are the things that our children are carrying through our survival modes,
Mm,
and what are the things um that they are picking up when, even though we're not necessarily physically putting them down. What are the things that they see missing, like your joy, your
yes.
happiness, those types of things? And you forget that because you're so robotic and you're like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and I gotta laugh. And you don't think your kids are picking up like, she scheduled that laugh. Like that wasn't me.
Totally. Totally.
So then they
Totally.
start picking up like, how am I gonna interact with my mom? Okay, at 6 o'clock, I'm gonna say this to my mom. And then, and those types
Exactly.
of things. And so I totally get that. And I just think about what you said, like about laughing and having it to be authentic. And it feels so good. So yesterday I'll bring this in and then I want to get off the mom train for a moment. But yesterday my daughter and I were watching a show, and it's so funny because she has this thing where, when kids say funny things when they're younger, like she with the stuff she says, and I'd be like, I didn't know you thought like that. So I'll give you a past context, current context, and then we'll go from there. But one day she loves Ed Sheeran. She loves his music. I love his music. And it was like, she's 10 now. So she had to be like maybe 6 or 5. And we had then seen a video of him. And she said, hmm, totally not expecting him to look like that. And I was like, what? And so I was so cracking up. I was like, what? And so yesterday, when we were watching some video, and she goes, the guy switched from one mode to another mode, and she's like, that's not the same guy. I'm like, yes, it is. She goes, he doesn't look like he sounds. And I'm like, well, what do you think he's supposed to look like? I'm like, I think he looks like you sound. I think you look like you sound. And she goes, and so I said, do you think I look like what I sound? She goes, yeah. I go, what does that mean? She goes, you look like you have big lips. And I just cracked up. And I'm like, what do you mean? But I say that to say that that laughter and that feeling was so authentic and not planned, and it
Yes.
felt so good to be able to
Yeah.
reflect in that moment. And so I really appreciate you being intentional with helping people to be intentional
Right.
and feeling that.
Exactly. And I love that you said, like, let's get off the mom train. But one thing, and honestly, it's regardless if you're a parent or not, but I often have people come to me, we are taught this in our society. It's like you put your kids, of course, right? And I'm not saying that, but there is a fundamental fear of if I spend time on myself, I'm selfish, right? And
Right,
it's like,
right.
oh my gosh. And I have seen it time and time again with parents that like slowly start to dive into this work just a little bit more, like just a little. It actually is such a gift for their family because they see, oh, mom has boundary. I've even seen people like kids be like, mommy has bath time. Let me help her set up the rose petal. And it teaches them boundary, and then the parent
Yeah,
could turn to them and be like, what feels good for you? What's a no for
yeah,
you? Right? Like it becomes a conversation and it's normalized. And again, as we know, when you can go to a situation with a full cup,
that part.
you know
It's
what
the
I
full cup
mean?
part.
It's the
Yes,
full cup because we
it's the
have it.
full cup.
We're
Because if you're, it's just like if you're trying to drive your car on an empty tank, it's puttering. It
yes,
may get you so far, but you're doing so much damage on the inside. And that goes
yes,
when you're doing from an empty cup, you're puttering and you're scheduling happiness. And you're just
totally.
putting away and just trying to get through the day. And you're just, I say you're surviving again because you're just running away from death. Like, I just want to get to bedtime. It's like,
Yeah.
there's nothing in between. I mean, and I've been there, like, there's nothing in, I just want to get through with this. And so I'm just puttering along. But when your cup is filled, like you said, you're doing such a service because if I, and like, and going back to what you said, even about like, getting like, what did you say? You said about, oh, self-care,
Yeah.
how people feel like it's selfish. And it's like, I like to say to the people that I coach and individuals are it's self-care. I think we've gotten it mixed up. Self-care is not getting your hair done and getting your nails done. That's all
Yes.
great. I think that's
Totally.
wonderful. And I do it. And that is self-maintenance. It makes you feel good
Yep.
in the moment. But self-care is that internal work. And so that when you do go get your nails done and your hair done, you see the beauty and it lasts a lot longer because of what you've done internally. And so when you're taking those moments of spending time on yourself and creating those habits, I have a mantra that I live by: a habit becomes a way of life.
Mm.
Not only that, you're again back to what I said, like, what are our kids seeing that's missing, and what are they picking up that we may not be necessarily putting down? And if they see that you're spending time on yourself, they're like, oh, that's important. Because if they don't see it happen, I think of this as a parent and just as a teacher as well. If they don't see it happen in their everyday life, the moment they see it happen in the outside life, and they're like, that's weird, I never seen that before, there must be something wrong with that, I'm not going to do that because that's not
Yes.
normal. And so like you said, normalizing it in your household is so important.
Yeah, and I think you made such a beautiful example with the car, right? Like that it's like, oh, it's okay, but like there's internal damage being done. Like you said, for us, over time it compounds and it's like, oh, this does not feel good. But also, we're so cute because we're like, our kids won't know. They
Yeah,
know.
right.
You know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
sorry.
yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
put the wool over there. No, you
Yeah.
didn't. Like, no, you
I'm doing a
didn't.
great job over here.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have no idea. Like, okay, but you know what I mean? Like, they are so intuitive and genius. They pick up on, like you said, these things of, oh, I go to a friend's house and oh, I see the mom speaking nicely about herself and not picking apart her body. What's this? Like, it's you can't fool them, and you shouldn't
Yeah.
fool yourself either, right? I mean, easier said than done, but I'm glad you put up that you brought that example because the internal damage we're doing to ourselves, of course, changeable, fixable, movable, but also to our kids
Yeah.
and to our family. And it's funny, I would talk to a few people in my family, and they thought they were being cute too. Like they owned it. They're like, I thought I was being really cute. I'm like, no, you weren't. Like it was apparent. And
You were
what's
not doing a
yeah,
good job.
I'm like, love you, but and it's funny because they were like, oh, I'm skirting. No one will ever know. And then their children started to talk really disturbingly about their body. And
Mm,
they're like, where did, oh, you must have got that at school. And I was like, oh, is it gonna be me that comes? I'm like, did you get that from, I mean, maybe,
not
right?
cool.
And they said, what are you direct? What are you talking about? You talk about yourself like that all the time.
Wow.
And it was like, wait, what? Like, no, I don't. And this person, love them, thought they actively were being mindful.
Right,
And it
right.
was just those very micro, oh, this shirt, oh, that, and it wasn't even anything profound, but that made an impact. And again, that's why this, and I love what you said with the self-care conversation. I was talking, if I could give a baby story, because
Oh
I
yeah,
talked, yeah, I'm
please.
like, I talked about this the other day and I was like, this is so good. So I worked for many years with one of my coaches, fabulous, amazing, amazing person. And then after a few years, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to volunteer with her. I want to see like how it works. Cause she does more grand, like events, like 1,000
Okay.
women, like big, so I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I want to be in the energy. It's just like magnetic. And so I volunteered backstage, and people after would physically grab me. Me and my friend would do it together, physically grab us. And we're like, what is going on? And we're like, hello? And they would grab us over the weeks. And we'd be like, what's going on? What's wrong? And they'd be like, what does she eat for lunch? And we're like, what? Like, and then Jay'd be like, where did she get her ring? Where did she get her dress? Where did she get acupuncture? Whatever. Like, I mean,
Wow.
I have heard it all, from what does she eat to lunch to what perfume, da 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 da. And me and my friend over the weeks, like, what is going on?
Oh
And then
my.
we chatted about it, and then we talked with people that were around this woman for years, and they're like, yeah, this happens all the time, because it's easier to say, I'm going to buy that perfume, I'm going to eat the kale salad for lunch, you know what I mean, I'm going to do all these external things. Oh,
Yeah,
and then I'm
yeah,
radiant now. And it's
yeah.
like, oh, like,
That's so cute.
exactly,
That's
exactly,
so
like, oh,
cute.
oh, oh. And
Because
like
then
you,
it's going to exude from your being. Like your skin may
totally,
look fabulous because of the things that you're eating, but you have that internal uncomfortability,
yes,
then it's going to show.
yes.
It's
Exactly.
just
That's
gonna
what I said.
show.
I'm like, I always, for me, the pleasure work is both internal and external, right? Like, I'm like, it's mostly internal, but hey, we have the beauty of working with the external. And I always think of them as like chiropractic adjustments, right? Like if you go to the nail
Okay.
salon, you're like, ooh, right? Like I feel a little like energy, like, ooh, or oh, I did my makeup this way. Ooh, like they're like little energy, little, they like help the energy flow a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
really, it's the deep work. So great, that teacher put on the ring. Maybe she felt a little bit more fab for 4 seconds. Maybe she ate this kale salad. It made her feel great. Great. But like we said, it's a deep,
yeah,
deep internal practice. And this external is just those like little micro chiropractic adjustments on top of it,
yeah.
if that makes
I
sense.
love that. I love that. No, that makes perfect sense. And just thinking about like uh how we think we're fooling others, like that's so crazy that we just think like we're being so intelligent that no one else is that smart as we are. Like and then forget like your kids are a product of you. Like they got some of your
Yes.
intelligence too. So you think you're masking, so that's funny. But I want to know one of those pearl clutching moments. What got you into just this work that you do? Like what helped you to recognize the need and
Mm.
then even take it further? Because when you look at your website, like it's so real, y'all, and like go and check it out. It's so real, it's so transparent, it's so authentic about like you got to do you boo, and not like do you boo in the sense of like forget everybody else, but it's like the helicopter, the airplane, which we're kind of being a little bit skeptical about these airplanes right now, but it's the airplane phenomenon. Like you have to put on your air mask first before you
Yeah.
put on anyone else's. And this is yes, I'm talking to moms because I'm a mom, and I'm talking about our moms, but this is period. So if you are in a dating phase, if you are in your if you're in your marriage phase, if you're in your boss girl phase, whatever the phase that you're in, you got to put that oxygen mask on first. And that looks like so much. So tell me why you got into that oxygen mask first thing and what that looks like for you when we talk about pleasure and sensuality and what that does for us. Like why is this so important to you?
Oh, I love this. So I'll give the quick backstory, and then I'll go into the juice. So I actually, my background's acting, and for my whole life I was like, I'm gonna be an
I
actress. I'm
want to
gonna be
know
an
more about
actress.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, we could talk about that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. And uh at a certain, it was years ago, probably like 15 years ago. I just had like one of those like come to Jesus, like fall to your knees, and it's either sink or swim type
Wow.
vibes. Um, Mother was diagnosed with cancer, going through an eating disorder, breakup. 3 friends died within maybe seven
Oh,
months. Yeah, so it was just like, whoa, like what are we gonna do with this? And with my mom's cancer diagnosis in particular, I really started getting into holistic spirituality. And I was so excited. I would learn things and I would teach it to her. I would learn things and I would teach
mm,
it to her. And from this, I just started my coaching journey. And again, I was so cute because I was like, I'm an actress. But it was like, okay, like I was having sessions, not calling them sessions or having group sessions. I'm like, no, no, no. It's like, okay, Erica, like it's happening. You don't want to call it this, but it's happening. So for many years, I was more of a traditional spiritual, you could say, or life coach. Like I got trained in that, more like that spiritual traditional path. And then I remember, this is so wacky, but I think it's worth saying. I remember one time I had over my bed this like gorgeous parchment picture of the Buddha, and it was like red. It was like a very sensual but like beautiful picture. I remember one day, like I was doing my thing, like living my life, and I looked up and I had like a bing moment, and it was like, you're gonna work in the field of like sensuality and tantra, and I was like, no. I was like, please no, like no. And I was like, okay, but it was like, don't worry. Like, I was like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? And do I have to go buy a book? Like, what do we, And it was like, don't worry, it will unveil itself as it's supposed to. Like, it will organically. Great, and it did. I like slowly started getting
wow.
involved in like different trainings and different embodiment courses and this, and it did snowball. And honestly, it snowballed out of a need. Again, I did these quote unquote
Mhm,
classes and these
mhm.
courses because I'm like, I'm just building my spiritual life coaching business. But I was like, uh-oh, like this is deeply transforming my life. And what's so funny is, like I said earlier, the clients that I was working with, they got to where they needed to get to faster when it was through the lens of sexual empowerment pleasure. Like we just, because it's such a hot topic, it was like, blink, like we could get to where we needed to ASAP. And then also
Yeah.
transparently, for me, why it was such a big deal, a big journey, is I always struggled with anxiety. And then later
Mm,
in life, self-hate, honestly, right? Like I was a very loving, very kind to myself kid, and then I went through certain traumatic experiences and had a relationship to kind of like self-hate. And
wow.
yeah, and so this work, the work of pleasure specifically, and I was working on the self-love relationship with therapists and this and that for years. I was working with folks on the anxiety for years, and the pleasure work actually did more for me than anything else. It did more for my
Mm,
anxiety and it did more for my self-love than all those years of therapy, all those years of different modalities. And I'm blessed, right? Like I'm not saying like, you
yeah.
know, but I'm blessed that I got to do therapy and this, it definitely transformed things. But I was like, pleasure is what's going to transform this like deep anxiety or this deep self-hate, and it was. And so for me, I was like, oh no. Like sadly, I got to bring this to the masses. And my teacher would say this, and I feel the same. She's like,
You
"You
said
think I
sadly.
Yeah, exactly. Sadly, and my teacher would say, "You think I really want to go like she was a mom and she was like, "Go to the PTA meeting and talk to people about like she's like, "You really think I want to be that lady?" Like she's like, "I don't want to be the kooky sexual lady. Like I don't want that." And I was like, and I feel the same. I was like, "Oh gosh, like I didn't choose it." Like it feels very like it was chosen for me. Also, it impacted my life so much.
Yeah,
It changed my life so much. It's like, Erica, I know it's, vulnerable and embarrassing and crunchy, but you got to do what you got to do. Like this is
yeah.
bigger than you. And so
You. Yeah,
for that, it was like, all right, like let's do the thing. So the short of it is it changed my life tenfold, that I was like, I have, sadly, again, sadly, I have to
yeah,
be, I
yeah.
have to let this work through me and
Mm.
share the lessons that I got.
That is, it's so crazy because when you say it out loud, it makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As I think about when you talked about like the anxiety and the self-hate, that looks like a bunch of things, and I want to dive into that a little bit more in just a moment. And how pleasure, and I really want to stamp that too, because sometimes society has gotten us stuck into thinking pleasure means that, you know, you're under your cover and you're doing some freaky things with yourself or other
Right,
people. Like,
exactly.
I'm just gonna say that out there, but that's not just
No,
what
no, no,
pleasure
no, no,
means, right? And
no.
we're gonna go into that too. So when I say it, I want to not kind of normalize it here,
Yeah.
of something else. But when I say it makes sense is because when you think about the anxiety and the self-hate and all of those things, that is kind of trapping you to think that you don't deserve to be happy.
Yes.
You don't deserve to feel joy. You don't deserve to have anything except for where you are trapped in.
Yes.
And so when I think about things like being a mom, since that's the audience that I'm speaking to, especially when you're a mom of, in challenging situations. I'm not going to say of anyone. It's just that when our children that we're raising, it does pose some challenging situations.
Yeah.
And so when I think about things like the caregiving aspect that we have to do, it's much more than remembering the PTA meeting and remembering the gymnastics practice and all those things. It's, what do I say today that's not going to tip over and cause a whole meltdown? And then it's going to be we both on someone's couch. And what do I do? Like, okay, how am I going to get enough rest? So it's all of those things. So then that starts to build a level of anxiety and
Yes.
stress and aggravation and sometimes some contention between you and your child. And you're like, and you get to that moment of, I just want, before the day even starts, the night before, you're trying to get to the next night to think about the next night just to get it over with. And that is stressful. And I see that as a form of self-hate as well, because then you start thinking, I hate my life. And I
Yes.
don't want to feel like that. And I don't want the moms that I service and the moms that are hearing this to feel like you hate your life. But the system is set up to where you start to feel like that. So let's talk about that pleasure that is so self-deserving and can be tapped in so that you're not running on those empty gas fumes
Yeah.
and you're not developing a form of self-hate of your life and that anxiety that will build.
Right. Exactly. You nailed it. Cause it's like when I say that to people, they're like, wait, hold on. It helped heal your anxiety. It helped your self love and self hate. And you
Someone wants to
nailed
run
it.
out to the Adam and Eve store. They
Yes.
gotta go to
Oh, it's hilarious. I should be a sponsor or whatever for that, affiliate for that. But you nailed it. That's exactly correct. Is that I want to make a point too with my feather. It'll help me remember. But for me, I didn't feel worthy and deserving of anything good. And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
it was very confronting of like, oh, I can enjoy this croissant. Like I could take a deep breath. And again, it doesn't have to be a 5-hour ritual. A lot
Right,
of people don't have that privilege, and also that's not life. Like for all seasons and cycles, that's not always going to be life.
right.
But in the moment, even when chaos is ensuing, I could for 2 seconds I can enjoy this croissant. I'm worthy and deserving. And for me, what happened is over time, even these little moments, they started to compound. And it started to teach me like, oh, I am worthy and deserving. I'll say something, and this is a little clutch your pearls moment.
Hey, give it
Yeah,
to us.
like,
This is the real, the raw, hilarious. We got holy, but
exactly.
we're unfiltered.
So during I understood this conceptually, but during a self pleasure practice, and it doesn't even need to be that. It could be even just, you know, pleasure, feeling like the skin, your fingers under your skin, whatever, or your skin under your fingers. But one time during a self pleasure practice, also what a gift that was my homework, right? Like that in my training, it was like, this is your homework. I was like, I love this
Okay,
school.
so if today's homework is a little different, you will need no pens, no paper. You're
Yes.
like, wait,
I
what?
was like, I came to the right school. I was like, this is up my alley.
I should have literally worn my pearls today.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking.
But in this homework, right, it was to do a self pleasure practice. And I just was like, get me out of here. I hate this. You know what I mean? And I noticed, like, I was like, get me out. Like, I was so triggered. I was like, I hate this so much. And the whole point of the practice is no matter where on your body, like, really be with yourself, really sit with the pleasure, really. And I was like, I hate this. And why I say this is what I learned is it didn't feel safe in my body to hold pleasure.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a powerful statement because
Right?
then you got to dig deeper. And it's like, why?
Yes, exactly. Like, and I was like, get it off me. Like, I want to, like, I don't want to be in this situation right now. I hate this. And then I found like, oh, it feels fundamentally unsafe. I don't feel worthy. It feels like all of my stuff is coming to the surface. And so over time, it was like, how could I have those little bites of pleasure and then get out, and a bite of pleasure and get out? Like, how can I slowly build my system back to hold pleasure? Because I had no capacity to hold it for any length of time. Like it was
Wow.
like, and most of us don't, right?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah, yeah.
crazy. It's wild. And so, which is also, let me say, the flip side of the good thing about when we don't have a lot of time, this could actually be a blessing because we could slowly integrate it. It doesn't, again, need to be, oh, I'm going to the spa for 5 hours.
Right.
That's not a luxury everyone has at every moment. It's like, and I say this when we're thinking, okay, Erica, what does this mean? Like, what does this look
Yeah,
like? I say,
that's
go
what
to
I
the
want to
five
know.
senses. Like, the logistics are go to the five senses. Pick one. Can we like relish in one of those senses? Even if you're like under a blanket, like, oh, I really feel the softness of this blanket. Or when I'm listening to this music, instead of me always putting on this music after drop off, can I really listen and like feel the
Yeah.
sounds in my body? Right.
Well,
And
let's back up for 1 second because
please,
I
please,
think you're going in deep on something that I really want you to really
please.
continue to go deep on. But the five senses, like I just want
Yes.
to make sure that whoever's listening that they heard that. Like
Yes.
the if you don't get anything else out of this, which I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch more you can get, but if you just start with the five senses, and we learned those senses in the first grade, the third grade. I remember my teacher was Miss Thomas, and she taught us all the things and five senses. If we can just start there, and so that you can get your mind away from, we're not just talking about touch. It's
Right.
the sound, it's the taste, it's the all of those things. And when you talk about the blanket, like I literally have a weighted blanket on me right now, and it's
Yes.
not cold in here.
Yeah.
It's not anything, but this is like my little and don't judge me, y'all. It's like my little stuffed animal. And I
Yeah.
bought this for my daughter, but she feels like it's holding her down, so she doesn't like it. And I don't like being held down either. But this gives me comfort just to be on my lap. And so that's a sense of pleasure. This
Yes.
gives me comfort in this
Exactly.
space. And so I just wanted to stamp that senses and doing it without guilt or shame. And so I really want you to go back into what you were. I
Yes.
hope I didn't break
No, not at all.
your mojo.
No, because so many people are like, okay, this is great. Where do I start? And I'm like,
Mhm.
five senses, five. And if you forget five senses, five senses. And again, like I said with that example, even if we go in, get it, go out, right? If it's like, okay, I'm going in, I'm enjoying the bite of the croissant. My kids are screaming. All right, put the croissant down. All right, you know what I mean?
And
Like
you drink your Starbucks so fast, you're like, that was good. Now I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't. I
Right.
remember. I sometimes like before this work, and sometimes honestly during, I'm like, I don't even know what I ate. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm like, I inhaled that. I could not tell
I
you.
know it was good, but I have
Right.
no idea what it was.
No idea. No, I couldn't tell you a flavor, an ingredient. I inhaled
I
that.
mean, and even just think back to eat. Oh my God, this is so powerful. Like, if we just, first of all, let's stamp the fact that you mentioned this too, that pleasure is not it's not a luxury. It's a
Right.
human necessity. And so even
Necessity.
if you just kind of just think back to times in your life, whether that's recent, whether that's past when you were a child, if you think of a moment of a time where you felt happiness, you tend to describe it with using your senses. Like there's this
Yes.
particular lavender matcha coffee that I like from this cafe that I go to. And when I'm explaining it, I'm like, it's like creamy, it's like heaven going down your throat. It's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to give them I'm trying to use all the senses that I can think of to help them. Like it's
Yes.
smooth, it's silky, I want them to feel it.
To
I want them
feel
like,
it.
and because you're trying to help them to live in that moment, but I'm also reliving that moment and I'm loving it. And
Yeah.
so that's what you're talking about. I love that. I love that.
Exactly. I'm gonna go like half off topic, but it is on topic, and then I'm gonna come
Mhm.
back. But I always use this story. Is it's similar to the self care thing we talked about, like
Yeah.
true self love, true self respect versus like more exterior self care. This is similar with pleasure. Because when I started this work, and my teacher's like, I'm gonna give you a warning. Like so many people are deprived that you're gonna go on the deep end. And oh my god, I was like, nails, like nails, fancy dinners. And I was like, oh, Erica, that was, you went out of control. And it was okay. I was
Yeah.
so deprived that I made everything external pleasure because I just didn't know. Like, I was so
Yeah.
unfamiliar. It was like learning a new language or riding a bike. I was like, oh, I guess pleasure means getting my nails done or going to movies every day or fill in the blank, whatever does it for you, right? And what I learned
Hmm.
was, hey, that's appropriate sometimes within reason, but that's not really what we're talking about here. And an example I use is there was I love this story. I'm gonna butcher it, but through Erica's lens. There was yes, I'm like, well,
Hey,
there
once
was
you've said it a million times, it becomes yours
oh,
now.
that's
And
why I
then
was
you
like,
just say it
sorry.
however you say
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I was like, sorry, guys. I don't know. I did my little spin on it. Uh, but there was a famous yogi, and he was traveling the world, like preaching, sharing his gospel, if you will, whatever, like sharing his teaching, his practices, his word, and people were like, oh my god, so curious about this guy, and someone asked a question like, this must be so amazing that you're like traveling the world speaking,
Hmm.
speaking and teaching. They're like, you get to go from India to Italy to here, like you're seeing all the world. And he was like, yes, like that is an absolute privilege and like such a blessing that I get to interact with new people and try new food and ba ba ba. He's like, but that's not, I could be happy anywhere. And I know how
Mm.
to find peace and be in the moment anywhere. And so I love that story because it's like it's
Wherever you go, there you are.
yes, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I love that," especially that, like, that is the goal. Like, can we find peace? Can we find pleasure? Can we find grounding in the moment? And also, we're humans. If you can
Yeah.
go to Italy and that's a dream of yours, go to Italy. You know
Go
what
to
I mean? Like,
Italy, right?
it's not one or the other. And so for me, it's like my dream with my clients is that they know how to find peace in any moment, find beauty in any moment. And then, hey, I always say, if we can, let's put one foot in the door of desire, right? Like dreams, like what do you want to dream? Like what's that outrageous thing? But then one foot in the here and now.
Yeah.
And within the current circumstances, how, because that's sometimes challenging, do we make this circumstance full of gratitude? Not from a place of bypass, right? If stuff's
Yeah.
like really hard, we're not bypassing or being like, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
no, like we're,
Car's burning. Everything's
yeah,
fine. It's just
everything's
warm.
fine. Yeah,
No.
pleasure. No, 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 no. We're being honest with ourselves,
Yeah.
but within the context of our current circumstances, how do we create peace? And again, what's cool is for me, pleasure, because I allowed myself to feel bliss, I also allowed myself to feel rage for what
Mm.
was happening in the world and within myself, or I felt deep grief. And that's also scary. But for
Yeah.
me, that is beautiful because I learned, oh my God, I'm really alive. And I
Yeah.
never want to, for me, I don't want to die with the music inside of me.
And that's not that's real. That's human. That's real. And I think that that really grounds you because that
Yes.
goes back to that whole saying what you just said. Like, it's not a thing where you're like being dismissive
Right.
to everything else and being oblivious. So like, oh,
Totally.
I have to worry about myself and I'm going to think about these five senses and I'm going to set
Yes.
aside everything else happening in the world so that I can feel good. It's
Uh-huh.
like you're getting in touch with your emotions, you're getting in touch with your inner self, and that inner self, you feel all of those things. You feel pleasure, you feel pain, you feel anger, you feel and okaying it because you're human.
Yes.
And so when you are thinking of the things of the world and that are happening that are not so happy moments, you're in tune with that to know you're not like, because what we then if we don't, what we create is a society of people that are just blind and they're
And
like, oh,
yeah,
that's
and
not a big
avoiding
deal.
it.
It's like it's a so a big deal. And we create, I don't know the word. I don't think it's unempathetic, non-empathetic. That's what it is.
Totally.
We create
Totally.
non-empathetic people because they're not in touch. But I think the biggest thing with that is you need to tap into it, but
Yep.
you don't stay there.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's part, as you know, like that's part of coaching too. It's like, how do I hold people but not let it eat me? Right?
Right.
Like with holding people through all of their
That's
stuff.
the
Like
good and the bad.
exactly. And that for me, it's like I don't, again, like I don't want to die with the music inside me. I want to feel everything. I want to be alive to everything. And also back to pleasure, right? Let's talk about like the world burning around us. For me, I use that as a radical act of humanism. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like go with me on this. It's like, oh my God, like it's I talk to clients all the time. They're like, I am so overwhelmed by the news. I'm like, I'm out of my body. Like, I'm so triggered. And I'm like, cool, like as you should be. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's very, yeah, I'm like, like,
Okay,
yep.
so you're human, check.
Yeah, I'm like, you're doing
Let's
great.
live there for a
Yeah,
moment.
I'm like, perfect. And I'm like, and what do we do? Like, what do we do with that? Because most
Yeah.
of us are chronically stressed, chronically triggered, chronically overwhelmed because it's so like, what do I do about this? And so for me, part of this work, I say it's like a rebellious, it's kind of a rebellion
Well,
doing
it
this
is
work.
rebellious because you're going against the norm.
Totally. And you're going against what should be. But here's
Should.
the
Let's
thing.
make sure everybody
Yep.
who's not watching, we are doing air quotes on the should.
Yes, the hardest air quotes that have ever
The
been.
hardest ever.
But for me, it's like when I am again, when I'm like, okay, I got the information. Wow, this is really sick. Okay, when I work through that, I work through that rage, the grief, the feeling helpless, and then I eventually is the underline, get to pleasure. I'm more in alignment. I really believe that I'm more connected to my intuition, connected to my purpose. I'm kind of like, I'm more, go with me on this, alive, turned on by life. What do I do with this trauma? It's not, go
Yeah,
with me. It's not like, oh, now I'm better and I'm gonna fan myself.
that's
No,
true.
that stuff is still there.
That's
What do
true.
I do about this now? It's like we talked about, we're putting the oxygen mask on. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, I feel more centered.
Yeah.
Before I was so dysregulated, I was so overwhelmed. It's like I'm not helpful in the cause
Yeah.
right now. I'm just adding to the panic. When I get into the pleasure, aka my alignment, I could say, all right, what do we do? Are we donating? Are we volunteering?
Yeah.
Are we calling politician? Whatever, fill in the blank, whatever it is. What am I doing here? Like
Yeah.
from this aligned place, what's the action? But I
It's
can't
a
take
form
a
of regulation
one
because all of these things
100%.
can dysregulate you. And when we're
Yeah.
thinking about the things that's happening in the world around us, when we're thinking about a situation like in the state of mind, the type of parenting that I do, that I have to do, because of the child that I have,
Yeah.
all of those things, you are very dysregulated. And so
Totally.
when you are in a dysregulated state, and this is just the psychology behind it, and that's my background, is your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, is on
Yep.
alert. Your amygdala of your brain is firing, fight, flight, fawn, fight, get out of here, do something.
Yes.
And so when you're always acting in that state, you're not being rational. You are being practical for the moment of survival that you are in. And you're not making aligned decisions because you're not
Yeah.
in tune with your whole self. And so it becomes, I just need to get out of this. I just need to, and what I've learned in just being transparent, like in my own therapy, is
Yeah.
I have been a person, and I'm working through this now, of I just want to bypass the process.
Sure.
Like, and I know what it looks like to have a process and the product. And I always say things like just being a generation X person. I think that is the coolest generation. Not no shade to any other generation, but I'm joking. But I think that I say that to say, and not being shady to any other generation, but I say that to say what I've learned in growing up in the generation that I did is we do have an understanding, and not that any other generation does not, but this is because it's where I am, of appreciating a product because we've seen the process. Like we've not
Mhm.
always had a cell phone, and so I know what it looks like to have a quarter in my pocket while I'm traveling to make sure I call my mom, and then now I have a cell phone, and so I say all that to say even though I understand and I appreciate products because of the process, because I understand the process, when it comes to this survival mode, it's like, we're dealing with that. All right, get over it. Let's get to being okay now. We don't need all that. We can just be fine. And I think that's what my generation has taught me also, because we are a generation of just resilient and all the things like, all right, thick skin. We don't have time to be whining and crying and doing all of that. Let's move on. It's like, hey, you do need to sit in that moment for a moment. You do need to
Right.
go through the survival phase because that is the process to the thriving product. And if you
Right.
don't go through that process, you are going to continue have a secular effect of that survival because you're constantly like, it's not time for that. Let's get here.
Yep.
And so I love what you said about being in tune, seeing all of that. And then now you say, okay, what am I going to do with that now? Because I'm allowing myself to sit in the process.
Exactly. And you said something so genius. I'm like, this work takes us from survival to thriving, surviving to thriving. This
Yeah.
is, like you said, it helps us get out of survival mode. And I think for me, that's what helped me with my anxiety so much, right? Like I was, especially when my anxiety was bad, I was in survival mode. I mean, I don't even know if I was in survival mode. Like I was SOS. And this work taught
Yeah.
me safety. It taught me, all of that. And I want to go back to the if people are like, okay, I'm interested. I'm interested. Tell me more. So we talked about the five senses.
Yeah.
Here's another baby way to get in is I always like to imagine it like a scale. And I just want us for some people, this is revolutionary. Throughout the day, just check
I think
in.
it's going to be revolutionary for me, but let me get my.
Yeah. Take the notes.
I'm glad that I got this on replay. So take your time
I
telling
love
me
it.
this because I got to take it in.
Exactly. Well, it really is when do we talk about this? You know what I mean? Like, when do we ever talk about this? So
Yeah.
it's a
When? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I want us to imagine a scale, and throughout the day, it depends how you like to jam. Do you want to put an alarm on? Are you like, no, I don't like that. I just want you to check in with yourself a few times a day when you can. Check in, ask yourself, on a scale, where am I? Am I feeling
Mm.
crunchy, contracted, not breathing, like not really here? Or am I turned on? And what I mean by turned on is not like what we think of turn on. Turn on, it means like a light switch. Like the light is on, I'm breathing, I'm kind of in the moment, I'm present. So crunchy or present and like alive in here. If we are crunchy and we're like, I choose something different, like a dial, how do you dial up? The question becomes, how can I make this moment more pleasurable? This is amazing because you could do this at the post office. You could, oh my gosh, we all need this at the DMV. You could do this at the DMV. Like you could do
I
this.
think their job is to put you in a crunchy mode.
Literally. So it's
If you need to know how to dial up and you have not experienced a crunchy mode, go to the DMV and then
exactly
you can practice
perfect.
this for real.
Yeah, perfect lab. Like that's the way to really try this out.
Any federal building for that matter.
Anywhere though, right? Even like waiting to pick up your kids or
Or car rider line. That's a good one.
yes, exactly. It's like, and it's just, it's just asking yourself, how can I add more pleasure to this moment? And it's nothing. I always use this example, right? Like if I'm working and I'm typing a newsletter and I'm crunched over the computer, I don't need to then be like, if I want to dance, I can. But if it's like, no, I'm at work, I can't. Okay, maybe I just roll my shoulders back. Maybe I take a deep breath. Maybe it's like, you know what? Like I'm gonna put some jazz music on as I work. Like very, very small dial steps. And so the invitation
Yeah.
is like a dial, like how can I dial this up more? How can I add more pleasure? And you become so good at it because like you figure out how to do that at work. You figure out how to do that in the carpool. You figure out how to do that at the DMV. Like you get
You
good
figure out
at
how to do it when
saying
your kid is complaining about how you cut their sandwich in squares and not circles.
exact. And also it's like it makes things less like serious. Of course you still hear everyone, but you're like, okay, like and you're teaching them too regulation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're teaching them that regulation as well, which is so powerful. And so my invitation is I'd love for everyone to start to integrate this tool, like asking yourself more regularly, A, where am I on the scale? And
Yeah.
B, you could also skip step A if you so choose. How can I make this moment more pleasurable? And what's cool is our brain often is like, no, there's nothing. It's like,
Right. Yeah, because we are dispositioned to think of the negative. That's just human nature.
exactly. And again, we're also programmed to like, let me do the exterior thing. So it's like, well, it really would be more pleasure if I didn't have to work today,
Yeah,
or
you're like, all right, you went to the extreme.
right, exactly. It's like, yes, I hear
Since
you.
you don't have that option,
Right.
what else?
And that's why I always say, like, within the current circumstances. It's
Within
like,
the current
yeah, like,
circumstances.
because it's like, of course you want to go to the Amalfi Coast and
Right,
drink
right.
limoncello. Me too. Take me with you. You know what I mean? Like, and of course you want to do that. And
Yeah.
also, we're not closing the door to that. If you really
Right, right,
desire
right.
that, if you really dream that, amazing. Let's get behind how we can make that happen. What does that look like? How do we, whatever, save for that logistically? What does that look like?
Yeah.
But this conversation is within my current circumstances that feel bleak. How do I add more pleasure?
Yeah.
And that's really, again, part of the shadow work is that's really us being with ourselves,
No,
asking, yeah,
I think that that is so practical, and I think that that is, like you said, revolutionary.
totally.
Because what we started off in our beginning of the talk, we talked about how how we have to be intentional with
Yeah.
doing this. because it's not human nature. It doesn't just come natural for most cases. And I've not met every woman in the world, but I can speak for a lot.
Yep.
It doesn't come natural. And if men are listening, then hey guys, um, but it's not something that comes natural. So you do have to be intentional. You do have to be mindful. You do have to do those checks so that everything, we schedule everything else, right?
Exactly.
But we don't
Exactly.
schedule ourselves. And I just
Right.
saw someone, a friend of mine who will be featured, who will be a guest on the podcast. She's a returning guest. She posted something within this week that said, while you're out here scheduling everything else, don't forget to schedule yourself. And I'm like, that is so important. And I kind of started this practice when I was a school administrator. I was a principal. I would put on my schedule meeting with self.
I
And
love that.
that wasn't, I'm not going to pretend like I'm some guru. And I was like, I've been taking care of myself and making sure that I'm in a pleasure mode all the time. So I'm great at it. No, that meeting with myself just meant it was designated time for me to do the administrative things that I need to do without being interrupted. But I had to secure that time. And my secretary knew that I was in a meeting. And so even though it was a meeting with myself, because oftentimes you'd be like, oh, it's just a meeting with myself. I can take this and I can do that later. It's like, no, this is
Right.
a meeting with a person that I need to work with, which is myself, and we're
Yep.
not going to interrupt that. And so what we're proposing here, what you're proposing here, not where, because it's not my idea, but I'm definitely subscribing to it today,
Yes.
is scheduling, being intentional about scheduling the time for your self-care. That's the key.
Yes.
Not just yourself, but your self-care. Not at 9 o'clock, I'm going to take a bubble bath. If that is part of this process, then yes. But those small size intentions where we're going through our rigmarole of the day and the stress of the day and doing all of the things that you can say. And even if you have to do a timer, being intentional, like I have a timer on my phone for everything else. I started this mindful moment thing when I was in a midst of chaos where I needed to take 5 minutes every 55 minutes
Mm.
to do a mindful moment where I was either praise and worship, I was reading the word, I was praying, I was, doing something that was getting my ear in tune with God's heart. And it has happening constantly. Now it's become my habit. Again, a habit becomes a way of life. And so if you have to schedule your alarm to say, hey, self-check, are you
Yep.
crunchy? Or are you, what was the other one?
Turned
Crunchy
on.
or turned on? And how turn up the dial. If you have to put that in your phone, which I am going to be doing that after our
Yes.
call today, after our time today, that's what I'm doing. If you have to do that to remind yourself until it becomes a habit, then I strongly encourage doing it, because it's just, I just think it's so necessary. You say, and the other key part that I got from that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because you're the expert in this area, is what can I do? Because, oh, let me go back. You said you can skip A if you want to. Don't skip A.
Right.
Do A. Check yourself before you wreck
True.
yourself.
Yes.
God's
Yes.
effect said
Yes.
it first. Don't
Yes.
skip A. Right?
True.
For my people who grew up in the 80s and 90s, God's effects, you know who that is. Don't skip A. Check. Are you
Yes.
crunchy or feeling turned on? Like, and don't get in your mind turned on me like, ooh, I'm aroused, I need to come in. No, it is. Are you crunchy or turned on? Like, what? Check yourself. And
Yes.
then do B and say, what can I do? This is the most profound part. What can I do to turn the dial up within
Yep.
the constraints, whatever you want to say, within my ability, within my purview, within, like, I'm going to quit my job. That's not what we're
Yep.
saying. Right? In
Exactly.
that moment, I feel stressed. What can I do to turn this dial up to relieve some of that stress? Maybe it's something as simple as I need to get up and get a drink of water.
Yes.
I need to close my eyes for a second. I need to turn on whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't skip A, do B.
Yes. No, you're right. You're right. And also, like you said, I sometimes skip A, but
But
I
you're
do this
conditioned to
work
it. You're
all
not
day.
really skipping it.
I'm not
You
skipping
know
it.
it.
I'm exactly. So you're right. And also we shouldn't bypass that because we should check in. How am I? And I also want to add this really briefly. We often, and especially as parents, and where it's like, oh my god, like you said, like let's get to the next bedtime. We're on autopilot, right? It's like I see people on autopilot, and they're like, where did the last 4 years go? Like
Right.
what, or where did the last like 5 months go? Like what is happening? And this work gets us out of autopilot a little bit more. It takes us out of that mode of life is happening to me, and we feel a little bit more involved in our own life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that enjoying the ride. right?
Absolutely.
Because when you're on autopilot,
Absolutely.
you're trying to, you're not enjoying the ride. You're like, we got to get there. Like, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
whatever. And I think that it goes to say too, like, survival is necessary
Yes.
to getting to thriving. Like, it is part of the process. And I've been guilty of, although survival, if you stay there, it is, well, let me back up because I didn't finish my sentence. I was rambling. I've got into the habit, and I'm guilty of this, and I need to correct myself, of saying survival is bad. You
Mm,
shouldn't be surviving, you should be always thriving. Not true. Let me correct
no.
that now. Survival is necessary, part
Yes.
of the process to get to thriving. What's not good is staying in constant survival mode. And so what Erica is offering us here is that what is the word I'm looking for, is the tools, if you will. That's not the word I really want, because it doesn't really give it the effect that I'm looking for it, because it's so meaningful, but it'll come to me. But the tools to how do you operate in survival mode as you are navigating the process to getting to thriving. And this is what it is. It's like, yes, you are in a survival in certain situations, and survival mode doesn't always have to be survival. Maybe it's a moment of survival and then you're thriving, and then a moment because you're constantly becoming. But being able to come out of that, and like you said, checking in with yourself, being able to come out of that, understanding that I don't have to be in this survival anxiety, self-hate, life hate situation until it gets to the end. And when is the end going to look like? When they graduate, when they leave my house and they go off to college? No, I'm here to tell you, I have a 25-year-old and a 28-year-old. That doesn't stop. Your
Right.
momming doesn't stop just because they left the house. Like, my daughter is almost 30. My son has children and a wife and all the things. And now you have more people to think about.
Exactly. It's so true.
And so you're not like, and when it gets here, it's like, you're always running to when it gets here. Well, let's not get off of that autopilot,
Yeah.
and let's start recognizing the moments that we're in. And that is that I need to live in these moments of anger, fear, doubt, love, pleasure, happiness, all of those things. And I need to be able to enjoy life so that life doesn't go on and you're looking at like, oh, my kids are 28 and 25 and I remember nothing from their childhood.
Right.
Not one thing.
Right. No, exact. And my teacher, I have many, but my teacher, Regina Thomas Shower, she would say, and we would see people on autopilot, excuse me, all the time. And I want to give one more tool is what she would suggest is pleasure research.
Ooh.
And I love that. She's like, put on your scientist hat and essentially, explore as if you're exploring for the first time.
Wait, I'm
And
taking
that
notes.
can,
I gotta write that down.
yes, 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 pleasure research.
Research.
And it takes us out of autopilot. So I'll talk to clients and they're like, I always use an example. Every Tuesday I eat a turkey sandwich, or every, Wednesday I go to Pilates. I'm not taking that away. If that makes you feel safe, if that gives you structure, love it. Keep it. What I'm suggesting is, are you like alive to what's going on? Or no? And often they're like, no. And I'm like, great. Let's add some pleasure research. So we almost want to put our kid like glasses. And it's like like, oh, I'm really gonna taste this food. Or like I said,
Yeah.
I always go to I'm making something up. I always go to a rock music, but there's a cafe around the corner. I think I hate jazz, but like for the night, let me suspend my belief and just like go and see. Like scientists, we're researching our pleasure.
Yeah.
And for me, I'll give a quick example. I was someone that I didn't really know, but we tell ourselves who we are. Like, I hate sushi, I hate fish.
I
Okay.
love that.
Yeah, like I hate it, I hate it. Okay. I was like, let me put my pleasure research hat on. Cliff Notes is I went and now I am obsessed with fish. I'm obsessed with sushi. Like
Right.
I was like, I'm scared, I'm scared. I'm
Oh
like,
my God. Erica, you're touching on something so great, because it's so funny that you bring this up, because this just happened to me like just recently. Like I
really?
said, I'm in my dating girl phase. And so I have been the person that says I hate flowers forever.
Yes.
Like, I was
Yeah.
married before. I was married for 17 years, relationship for like over 20, 22 years, 23 years, something like that. And it was my high school sweetheart. And I have said since the beginning of time that I hate flowers. Like, I hate them and I don't like them and all the things. And I am a very analytical, think with your head type person. And I had all the reasons why I hate flowers. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like them. I would rather you not kill something to give it to me. I love the way they look. They're beautiful where they are, but I don't need them on my dining room table and all of the things, right? And so someone said to me, well, what if, and I said, I have all the rationale, like, and I don't feel like you just need to waste your money on killing something to give it to me. Like, we can go look at them, but I feel like you can use your money better at something else. And they're like, what if I'm not thinking about how I'm spending my money? And I'm like, well, I'm allergic to pollen. So I got all the things. I got all the reasons. So yeah, I'm allergic to pollen because I have subscribed to this notion that I have to
Yes.
stick with because it has become my part of my identity. So I'm like,
Yes.
nope, I'm allergic to pollen. So that's why I like flowers. And then they said, well, roses don't have pollen. I go, yeah, well, again, don't waste your money. And they're like, roses are beautiful. And again, what if I'm not thinking about how I'm spending my money? That is not part of the process. It is more so I want to adore you with something beautiful to captivate or explain how beautiful I think that you are. And so it's the beauty of it. And I go, well, now that you put it that way, I don't know. Buy them and see. I might like them. Never had anyone buy
Yes.
them for me. So let's take it. Let's take a look.
Yes.
And I didn't realize I was going through the pleasure research process.
You were. I'm
can name it now.
obsessed. I am obsessed. And you know, like this is stupid too, but an example is I always told myself, I hate summer. I hate summer. I hate summer. I lived in New York City. Well, New York City in the summer is something, but like I hate summer. I hate summer. I hate summer. And then I was like, let me go through like I'm not pushing on myself. If I hate summer, that's cool, Erica. Like, but let me go through the pleasure research. And summer came in New York City. I'm like, here we go. And I was like, oh, this kind of not like, okay, but I'm not gonna say I like summer. Okay. You know, and I went through the whole process, and by the end, I'm like, oh no. Like, so much where now I live
like summer.
Yeah, now here I am living in South Florida, like summer every day. You know,
like it.
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh. And so it's just, you know, it's fabulous because it opens us up to life. And again, my teacher would say, this work often can be, you know, she's like, the journey that I want you to go on essentially is instead of just, oh, I want to go on a trip to France, she'd say, I want you to live in Paris, live in the small towns, know the different cheeses, speak the language fluently. And the difference between that and like, oh, I'm gonna go to France for 3 days. Like she's like, I want you to be immersed in your own life. And that's this work. It's like, it's at the end of the day, does it matter if you like jazz music? No. Does it matter that I like summer? No. You know what I mean? But I got to be involved in my own life. Like I was telling myself,
being involved in your own life.
Yes, like I was putting limitations on myself, and I was like, but I was capping myself. It doesn't matter. Like I was capping myself in all areas of my life, and I got to be more involved and get to see like what makes me feel alive. Ooh, what's like to me? But like I got to feel, and what's so powerful, especially in the mundane, like we said, like at the DMV or you know at the car wash or whatever. It's like life goes so fast with those like but most of life is the mundane and we wait right like we wait for the vacation or we wait for the wedding or we wait for someone's
our kids to go to bed so you can have a glass of wine.
Exactly. You're like go to bed exactly, go to bed. We wait and we wait and most of life is the mundane. And so this is such permission to like again within context within reason, right? Like we're not all going to quit our job and say la vie, but like how within reason.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. That's not real pleasure. You know, within reason, how are we going to take back some of our life?
Yeah.
And be involved.
Take part, take back and take part.
Exactly. And again, that doesn't mean like mom's picking, you know, the kids up with the boa. That might just be those micro moments, but like, oh my God, I feel more involved with my day.
And I told one of my friends before we were at a conference or a workshop or something, and it was hell getting to the workshop for me because it was so much going on before getting there, all of the things, momming, lifing, all of the things. And then to top it off, it was raining. And I was like, but I wanted to get there because I knew it was going to be impactful, but getting there. And so I put on my red lipstick and I lined my lips perfectly with the little, whatever, this little piece of your lip at the top. If you're listening, I'm talking about the dip that's now a fad now, right? If you have a natural one, then I am so envious of you. I have a little bit of a natural one, but I'm getting off topic. So I put on my red lipstick and I put on my bright red. I think I have like a, whatever it is, it's that bright stamping statement that's the first thing they notice on you. And that's probably when my daughter said I sound like I have big lips. Now that I'm thinking about it. But so I put that on and when I got in, a friend of mine was like, oh my God, Tawana, I love your lipstick. And I had to share a transparent moment there. I go, you know what? actually, and this has now become a thing for me, not just the red lips. When I do this for this reason. This is my pleasure research, not even my pleasure research. This is my turning up the dial and taking a moment of
Yes.
pleasure for myself. I told her, I said, when you see these red lips, just know that there was hell that I had to go through to get
Mm.
here. And me putting on my red lips gives me a moment of pleasure and joy. And so when you see these, know that she is taking back her life and her moment. And it gives me joy when I'm putting my makeup on, and whether, even if I don't even put a full face of makeup on, I'm just doing my moisturizer. I'm doing something with these lips because it gives me that 5 minutes of,
Yes.
oh, I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel nice. And again, like we mentioned, it's not getting your nails done, it's getting your hair done and all those things. It's not the act of how I look when I put the lipstick on. It's
Yep.
the feeling that I have when I'm putting the lipstick on.
Right. It's taking that moment for yourself. And I always say to people, adornment, beauty is a spiritual tool, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
and over time we've perverted it, where
yeah,
it's like where it's become you have to do that and then you'll feel good.
yeah.
But in ancient times, like they would, they would, how do I say, like adornment, beauty, taking care of yourself, that was a spiritual practice.
That was a
And
spiritual practice, right?
yeah, and it's still it's us nourishing ourselves. If whatever you believe in, the universe, God, you're taking care of that
Your body's a temple.
100%. And that's an honoring. Where
Yeah,
we've lost it in society is that's all it is. Like it's
yeah.
just, and then you'll be happy. And so I
Uh-huh.
think there's a beautiful marriage between like adornment, beauty, nourishing ourselves, and also feeling that deep internal peace.
Yeah,
Regardless if we're wearing scrubs, no makeup, Oscar de la Renta gown,
yeah, yeah.
regardless, we feel that beauty from within
From
and that
within.
radiance within.
And that's definitely going to exude out. Um, like, other people are going to notice it and see it, and it doesn't have to be in your words. I got a phone call yesterday from a person that I worked with. I didn't necessarily work directly with them, but they were a different business and I was an educator. And they called me out of the blue. I hadn't talked to them like 2 years, and they called me out of the blue, and I still had their number programmed in my phone. And they were like, I just saw you on a PowerPoint. I'm like, really? Like, what? And I wasn't even saying anything. It was just my picture, and the picture wasn't even like made up or anything like that. And they're like, you look great. You
Oh,
something must be happening. And I go, oh my God, like that. And that was like just the whole reason they called me, because and they knew me in the time of where I was working, where it was like a lot of chaos. And I didn't say that this work is chaos and I'm not, but they saw it, I guess, on me.
yes. Yes.
And so I think about too, like, even if you think about the presidencies, and we're not going to get into politics,
Right.
so don't worry, don't turn us off, but it is profound in their appearance, because that is
Yes.
a stress work, and it's very stressful. And I don't know the president's acts of self-care or anything like that, but what we can see from the outside is through those 4 years of time, when if they do one term, you see the
Oh, you
age
sure do.
um fast forward very
Yeah.
quickly in
Yeah.
that time. And it has not been, I'm not making that up. If we look at all the presidents, that is something that is always profound, like, wow, they've gotten older in 4 years.
Yeah, yeah, and this is a sidebar, but you mentioned with the PowerPoint. I love this. I've had people in the past be like, "I don't know exactly what you do," and I'm like, "Fair," and I'm like, "Cool, cool, cool. We'll talk about it." But they're like, "I don't know exactly what you do," and like I've had a woman recently, a fabulous client, and we were at an event together, and she's like, I want you to know I'm gonna hire you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I don't know what you do. And I'm like, then why do you want to hire me? Like, and she's like,
I love
she,
the way you're looking
yeah,
right now.
no, exactly. And I was like, really? I feel like I knew in but she was like, she's like, you just, I love that you walked. She's like, I'm here, like, cause I was presenting at this event, and she's like, I'm down. I can't wait to hear what you say. But like, I love your energy. I love like how you show up in the world. Like,
Yeah,
I want some of that. And it's like you said, that is, there's
yeah,
something to that. Like it's all energetic work.
yeah.
This is what
And
we're
I want to
talking
go
about.
to that for a second, and then I want to definitely share some of the things that you got going on, so
Yeah.
the listeners can be able to follow you and get some of those other cool nuggets that you offer. I mean, cool's not even a word for it. Like, I don't even have a word for it, but yeah. um cool is the undermining word for it. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like, cool is like no, cool is the undermining word. It's something more profound in what Erica has to offer. But even like what you said about being a presenter, being a coach, being a professional, I don't want people to take away from this that you have to be in that limelight to do this work.
Oh
Like
no.
if you're a mom, guess what? You are a presenter because you are on all of the time.
Yes.
And like we mentioned before, that care for the carer, yeah, the care for the person who is caring is so important. And so just like Erica mentioned and I mentioned about how what what feeds off, what radiates from you, and what people pick up, that this is why this work is important, because the people we're talking about that's going to pick up things from you are your children.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to create sustaining relationships, healthy relationships, loving relationships. I always say that I want to have the type of relationship with my kids that they come home even when they don't have to. My 10-year-old, she has no choice, she has to
Right.
be here. But I have the privilege, I would say, of being able to see the hindsight and the later view, because I have these older children. Like my youngest and my middle are 15 years apart, and my youngest and my oldest are 18 years apart. And so I know what it looks like now they're gone, and I know what it looks like they're here. And so I wasn't the perfect parent, but the things that I think that I didn't do well, for those that are already out the house, I try to do well with the one that's here. And the things that I think I did great, I communicate with them to make sure, was that great? Because it was just me. Can you help me tweak this a little bit? And of course, and I'm probably going to make more mistakes with this one as well. And there's not going to be another one for me to be like, hey, I did no. So whatever it is. But I say that to say that what comes off of us for the people that we are leading and loving, in this case being our children. And if you are someone who's a speaker and you're in the limelight and all those things, and this is great for you as well. But what Erica is presenting to us here and sharing with us and encouraging us is to be able to have that inside out work. And so that what we put on the inside and the time that we take on ourselves, it exudes off of us without us even have to say it. Like you could say, I'm fine all day long, but you don't look it.
Right. Right.
And your kids
Yeah.
will pick that up. But if they like, oh, mom's doing a work, she's doing a thing, I can see it, I can notice it, because of the things that you're doing. And that's my ultimate goal. And so I have gotten some great tools from you, and I want to just kind of stamp it for a moment. If you didn't hear anything else, remember 5 senses. Go back to your 5 senses, rewind back to there, so you can recognize how to stamp on your pleasure areas, and so that your mind's not perverting. You're thinking about the one pleasure area. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then turn your dial up so that you're in a space where you can be able to come out of that mode that you may be in crunchy. And then doing pleasure research. We are always, the thing I want to say about that too is we have to remember that we're always becoming. I'll just, like we said, like arrival, like when we get here, and I just mentioned when we get here and they move out the house, then we're done. No, I'm a testament, you're not done.
Yeah.
And so always knowing that you're always becoming. And so just like Erica mentioned that she didn't like summers, and then she realized that, hey, actually I probably do. I didn't like flowers. I'm like, you know what, check it and see. That's that becoming. And so doing that pleasure research, don't get ourselves so caught up in, I never liked that, I never did that, I don't like it, I'm not going to like it. Well, just see. Just see. Just we tell our kids, you're right. You're right.
Right.
Just see. And so I absolutely love it. But I want you to tell us a little bit about, what you have to offer, a little bit more about your space, some things that you have coming up, how people can tap into you. I know you have a podcast as well that I would be excited to be a guest on.
Yes.
And just about your space in general, and give us your spill on how we can definitely get more of this.
Yes, I love that. And like you said, it's like it doesn't matter if you are a presenter or this, like this is fundamental human work. Like I work with everyone because, and for me it's, I always say, I laugh because people say, what's your client avatar, and people are be like, women in their 40s or women in their 30s, and I'm like, and I am every business coach's worst nightmare, because I'm like, everyone, they're like, no, and I'm like, everyone, and they're like, no, you
Niche
can't.
it down a little
Yeah.
bit. Oh
You got a niche, and I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying, love that. But here's where I have a fundamental, issue with this. And again, whatever, I understand where it's coming from, but I'm like, everyone needs this work.
Yeah.
Everyone needs this work. It is, like you said, it's not just like a cherry on top. Like this is oxygen. It's
Let me,
oxygen.
I don't want to cut you up, but I got to say this
Please.
here for some, the women that are listening. If you're married, if you're in your dating girl era like me, everyone, she says everyone, it's like every woman. I'm every woman. No, everyone. When you go to her website, it's not just women on there, it's men too. And I think that is so important too, because when we're doing our inner work, if you are in a relationship, the other person you're in a relationship should be doing it too, so that you guys are
Yes.
unevenly yoked, so that you guys understand when you're taking your time, they understand totally what that means, because they're going to need to take their time too.
Exactly.
And then when you
It-
come together as one, you guys know what that feels like. All five senses, mentally, spiritually, physically, all of those things. And that is going to be
oh,
fireworks.
the best. The best. Like you said, you're a partnership. So that's why I say tell your friends, it's for everyone. And that's why I'm obsessed with like speaking about this and getting it in front of everyone. And if it resonates with someone, I'm like, great, let's talk. Like let's chat about it. With that being said, and that's like such a big piece of my business, I'm really big in free resources, because this is kind of like a whoa, like mind-boggling topic. So I don't expect someone to be like, now I'm going to sign up with you. It's like you need a moment, like to massage some of these theories, and you need a moment. And so with that, I'm big on free resources. Like you mentioned, I have a podcast called Welcome to the Weeder Life, all about these different topics. I have a free ebook, which is called From Perfectionist to Pleasure Expert. And then also I have a blog. What else do I have? And a blog. And those are all on my website, which is wethelight.org. So wethelight.org. I'm like, get in there. You know what I mean? Like, get in there, see if you can get any good information, maybe process. And here's the big kahuna. Again, I don't expect anyone to be like, okay, now I'm going to sign up with, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what does this lady do? What is this? What does this look like? How do I, logistics, right? So for me, because this work is so delicate and there's a lot of safety that needs to be at the forefront of these conversations, right? Like, safety is huge. I want you to make sure, like, I feel safe with this woman. I jam with this woman. So I offer a 60-minute session, totally complimentary, no strings attached. I really want it to be, like, it's a session. You walk away, I'll send you an email with tools, stuff we can implement ASAP. Great. At the end of the conversation, if we're feeling it, if you're not, and you're like, I feel good. Great. God bless. Like, hopefully we stay in touch. I have people sometimes being like, I love you, but I want to work with a man. Do you have recommendations? Absolutely. Or like, hey, I'm interested. What does this look like? Let's talk about it. So I say to people, take it, because I only open up a certain amount each month, and then I close the calendar, because for timing. So I say to people, if something in this conversation resonated, why not get a free session? You'll get something out of it. If you want to talk about working together on a long-term basis, great. If you're like, I feel complete, great. So I always say, like, I just want to get this work in as many people's hands as possible. So take me up on these free things, because who knows if it's going to be, around forever. I don't know how long I'm going to do this model, so I'm like, take it. So those are and again, that free call, that free session is on my website, which is wethelight.org.
Yeah. So all of the things that Erica mentioned, and the website and information is going to be linked in the description of this episode. And so if you couldn't get your pen fast enough to write it down, save this episode so that you can go back and you can click on those links, and you can follow Erica at, what's your handle again? It'll also be in the description.
Yes. On Insta, it's at wethelight_LLC.
Okay. And again, the link will be there so you can follow her and see. I think here she's given some great tools that I am implementing immediately after we leave this call. My kid will be, I'm taking 5 minutes to check my dial. You need to check your dial too.
Check your
honey.
dial.
Honey, check your dial, honey. And I think that if this resonated with you, then you need to rush right over and go and follow her so that you can see more and see how this could apply to your life. But if you are a follower of mine, then know that I am saying this will apply to your life, because you know the type of life that we live. We are in the weeds.
Yes.
So we need to be checking We the Life there. And so let me ask you this, Erica, if you could just speak directly to the moms who have forgotten that they matter, what would be one thing that you would tell her today? And by her, I mean me.
Yeah. That I love this, that you matter. And again, that this work is so important, right? And it's like, it's not only for us, it's for our children. Because sometimes we're like, oh, it's okay, I can put this on the back burner. It's for our children, for our family, for our community, for the world. But really, and again, I don't want to go on a whole tangent, but for me, why I love this work so much is, um, like I talked about before, aliveness, right? Like I love being alive. I don't know when I'm gonna go, and not to go to to that place, but I don't know when I'm gonna go. God willing, I'm 90 something and I'm healthy, surrounded by friends and family. I don't know. I could go to
Right.
God forbid, but knocking on wood, I could go tomorrow. So with me, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, like, you want to live. You want to make sure that, like, I am living my life. I feel, and that doesn't mean perfect. That doesn't mean sparkly all the time. But like, I'm sure, like I said, you don't want to die with the music inside of you.
Yeah.
You want, with your current circumstances, you want to say, hey, when you hit that pillow at night, like, there were some really nice moments. I really fought for myself.
Oh,
Um,
yes, I love that.
Right, because we don't want to be at the end of our life and say, why didn't I fight for what I wanted? Why didn't I fight for more peace? Why didn't I fight for more joy? Because the chaos is going to be there. Don't worry.
Mhm.
Like that, we don't have to
Don't
create
worry.
any of that. That will be there. So we don't need to spark any of that. That's there. But know that you're worthy and deserving of fighting for your pleasure. You're worthy and deserving of fighting for a life that makes you feel radiant and turns you on. Turns on means turning on the light switch. You're worthy and deserving of that.
I absolutely love that. Um, I think if we could sum that all up, who are you bringing today?
Yes.
Like, who are you bringing?
Yeah.
And then do a self-reflection. Are you bringing the person that you want to be encountered with? Do you even want to sit there with yourself?
Exactly.
And that's part of that check yourself. If you don't want to sit there with it, you can be for damn sure that nobody else does either.
Right.
And so I just want to say thank you, thank you for this time. I mentioned to you before we first spoke that every time I come encounter with someone, it is an experience, and I absolutely do not take that for granted. So I thank you for this experience. I have gained so much that is going to help me right now today. And
Yes.
so I just thank you for really just coming on here on Tawana Talks. And just our motto is keeping it real, raw, holy, with no filters, and of course, hilarious. And so thank you for providing all of those
Thank
pockets
you.
of things today, Erica. It has been a pleasure having you on here. And I'm so excited about just, where this is going to go with us continuing. I know that I'll probably have you on for more. I didn't even think I was going to do a season 4, and here I am. So I don't even know what other seasons may come, and maybe you'll show up again in season 4. I don't know. Drop some comments in here if you want to see Erica again show up, where we can even dive a little bit deeper into the pearl clutching moments. But Erica, thank you so much. Any last words that you want to give before we sign off for the people?
Yes. Oh, thank you. I'm just so grateful. This was quite literally a pleasure. And my invitation for everyone is, even though it's scary, it's going to be very confronting, right? There's 105 reasons why we shouldn't do it. I gently dare you to, like, even if it's a baby moment, I gently dare you, your family, yourself, your inner little child will thank you. And again, you're worthy and deserving of a life that feels really juicy and alive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Tawana Talk. Subscribe, share, and don't forget, you're not doing it wrong. You're doing it real. See you next time.